Welcome at the Media Center Ukraine. My name is Iryna Poida. We begin this day with what is a very important and exciting issue, a positive challenge to all the country, the results of the Paris 2024 Paralympic Games. Let me introduce today's panelists. Valeriy, Sushkevych, the president of the National Paralympic Committee of Ukraine. Ihor Tsvietov is a two-time Paralympic champion in para-athletics. Yaroslav Denysenko, two-time gold medalist and bronze medalist in para-swimming in Paris. In para-swimming, Iryna Poida is two-time gold medalist and two-time silver medalist in para-swimming. Danylo Chufarov is a two-time silver medalist and bronze medalist in para-swimming. Marina Mazhula is a silver medalist in para-canoe 2024 Paralympic Paris Games. Welcome, everybody. What I am holding in my hands is one of the sculpts that you have received at the Paralympics. It's so exciting. It's difficult to say what is impressive about this, but what matters is that the whole country was following the results. We were rooting up for you, cheering for you. We always expect our team to bring back a lot of medals. Mr. Chairman, can I start with you? Are you satisfied with the results? What were the results and how they came through? In general, how was it going? Thank you, ma'am. I appreciate the attention that we receive online through the internet, and I hope that a lot of people will see this event. You mentioned the positive sense. I wouldn't call it a positive general sense. What I am feeling, and all the team felt the wave of the support, the unity and patriotism. And we realize that we are all together fighting against an enemy, the killer country. My point is that yesterday we had what I would call a final event of our participation. After we came back to Ukraine, the president of Ukraine hosted a meeting in front of the Mariinsky Palace, the presidential palace. We were sitting there waiting for the president. He showed up, and there were presentations of the medals. Iryna and Danylo were there. They took the floor, and they addressed the president about their medals. And I was listening there, watching the whole event, and it reminded me about the fact that when we came at the venue of the presidential palace and chairs were set in preparation of the ceremony, and out of the blue I saw something lying at the chair, and I looked at that and I found this. This is a shrapnel of the Russian missile. Well, you see, this is a sign, a characteristic of this Paralympics, of the essence of it, the identification, the identity of our fight against the war. The shrapnel, should it hit anyone of us, of the Paralympic team, or anybody in the vicinity of the presidential palace, you know that this shrapnel is a potential killer of every one of us. This is what made me think when the president was delivering these medals. Look at our outfit. The members of the Paralympic Committee asked us, "Are you military guys?" I said, "No, we are civilians. We are not military. We are Ukrainian athletes fighting for the victory of Ukraine in the world sports. And I made a point to this effect, realizing that we believe we are fighters. We fight for the Ukrainian independence, for the territorial integrity of our country. What we are fighting for is for Ukraine to overcome the occupation and win over the killer country that has come to this country. Perhaps it's off the point. It's not about the results. But I thought my narrative would be, this is off the cuff. Look at the outfit of our guys. Doesn't it resemble the military uniform? You see, when we showed up at the opening ceremony of the Paralympics, everybody was shocked, every national team. And it was a very effective moment. It was covered in the French papers when President Macron approached our team, when everybody stood up, the members of the French government, the members of parliamentary of different countries, they stood in front of the Ukrainian team. And the question from the international committee officials who were not willing to authorize this particular outfit, asking us, "You're not military, are you?" And I turned to our guys and our team members. Everybody said, "I am fighting for my country. I am fighting for the victory of my country." A victory that is bound to be an indispensable component of our victory in general. You see, for the first time in history of the Paralympic outfit creation, and look, this outfit was not designed for every previous Paralympics. We did not hire any foreign designers, either from China or from Spain or France. We did not rely on them. What we were trying to say is that we relied on the National Paralympic Committee. And we, for the first time in history, invited to cooperate with us a famous Ukrainian designer. A designer who has done so much. He's well known for his victories in different competitions and different nominations. Viktor Anisimov. Viktor Anisimov is the author, the designer of this outfit, the concept, the philosophy, according to his words, is that he had received a lot of advice, but we wanted the designer to take on board our proposals. What you see here is that we have different elements in this dress. The elements of the Ukrainian national banner, our flag, the logo of our national committee, and we have the green color here. When the officials of the International Paralympic Committee said this color is related to military. What you bring to the Paralympic Games is politics. You are bringing into the World Paralympics a political element, which is a big no-no. My rebuttal was that fighting for peace, and peace per se, and our fight for the war not to be there in our lives is not politics. Peaceful life is a major human right That was my response. More to the point, what they were trying to ban was not only the colors. You know, when it came down to colors, I said, yes, we have colors of ripe wheat and blue skies. However, when the wheat is still growing and ripening, and the whole world is waiting for the world's breadbasket, which is Ukraine, it takes time for the wheat to grow, and it begins with a green color. This is the way I overcame this challenging discussion. The only thing we had on our outfit of this breast pocket, we had a logo. As every Ukrainian military, you have the name of every coach, of every member of the team, and this is an attribute that they insisted, and they were effective in that, to take off these names of ours. But the effect was there. On the psychological level, it worked well. When we put on these uniforms, you see, we were treading the soil of the Paralympic village in France, on the premise of that village. And suddenly, with no premeditated intent, there was one of the Ukrainian volunteers. She said quietly, "Glory to Ukraine." And the whole team wholeheartedly responded, "Glory to heroes." We knew then that we are representing our heroic nation. This is the initial team spirit. Beginning with the outfit, we were preparing to fight for our country. We were preparing to fight not in sports without politics. And by the way, the International Paralympic Committee banned the map of Ukraine on our dresses. We insisted because we wanted to put to get the message across. The map of Ukraine, an integral country, internationally recognized borders within them. And we insisted that the map of Ukraine was there on our outfits. Now back to the results. Just the question you asked me, Alina. One of the components that the press have failed to cover. Now before that, I would like to thank you as the representative of the Ukrainian media. I appreciate all the Ukrainian media in general. You see, while we were participating, the whole team were watching social networks, reading Ukrainian papers, watching Ukrainian TV, and we were following. We did read the papers. We were aware that we are all together in this. And I thank the Ukrainian media, the Ukrainian press, and you personally, Alina, for what you have done. Without Ukrainian press, plus the worldwide media, they called us a little Ukrainian miracle. Why did they call us miracle? Because amongst the 10 leaders of the world sports, in terms of ratings, we are the smallest. There were team 300 strong. China, Britain, France, who finally ranked after us. You see my point. They were hosting the Paralympics. They were preparing. They were ready. They claimed that we will be high on the final ranks. They were 8th. Now, without any doubt, in spite of the fact that we are a tiny, small, but We are a miracle, a Ukrainian miracle. Now let me remind you about the year 1996. I, then a vice president, a young person, vice president of the National Paralympic Committee. The president could not afford to go, and he was not very much active in fighting for Ukraine, but I insisted. I visited the Prime Minister of Ukraine, and I proved the point that Paralympics is the place where we should go with a team that was fewer than 30 team members, with all the officials, and at the end of the day, we were 44th in the world rankings, a 44th rank of the national Ukrainian team in Atlanta in 1996. And I was then going with the crutches, and I would go to the television center or radio center where they were saying that the Russians are at this place. And they said, I told them, we are not Russia. And I was relentless in this effort. And I realized then that no one knew the Ukrainian anthem. And sometimes, instead of the Ukrainian anthem, we heard something else. It was a shame. It was so sad because no one knew Ukraine as an independent state then. I thought about this when there was an issue that Ukrainian team could not go to the Peking Paralympics at the end of the 2024 February, late in that month. There was no money, no possibility. How can you put together a well-prepared team for the Paralympics in Peking? But we could not fail to go. I gathered them together and I told them, friends, if there is no Paralympics game representation, then there is no country. Yet the war has broken out. And one Ukrainian official told me, what are you talking about? What kind of Paralympics are you talking about? The capital city is going to be occupied in 3 days' time. And I told the whole team, we will go to the Paralympics in China. And we were second only to China. Why do I make that point, dear colleagues? After Atlanta in Sydney, we ranked 35th. From 44 to 35, next games in Athens, 2004, we were ranked the 6th in the world. Next, Peking Paralympics, 13th Paralympic Games in China, we had a 4th place. Next, 2012 in London, we were the 4th. Can you imagine? We are the 4th among all the countries in the world, a country independently growing. And the next games in Rio de Janeiro in 2016, we were the bronze medalist, leaving behind the USA, leaving behind the European countries, the whole sports world, only China and Britain in front of us, and Ukraine is the 3rd. This is a big jump, a big leap, not seen by Paralympic movements in the world before. We were recognized as the best sports system for the disabled athletes. Now, 2020, fast forward from 2014, when the war broke out, we were the 5th. Now, fast forward to 2024, we are the 7th. Colleagues, think about this. The results that have not been analyzed before. During the war, only during the war, in the wartime, did we begin, did we see the slow growth of our phenomenal results. Before the war, we were the third in the world after the giant leap of 1996. Before I talk about our medals, I would like this analytical data to be analyzed so that the Ukrainian media, the Ukrainian press, pay attention to this. And by the way, this is something that the whole world took notice of. Now, a few words about what is statistical results. Some people might know we participated in Paris Paralympics in 17 events out of 22. There were 539 medals in Paris up for grabs, and we were fighting and competing for 189. Now, let me tell you that the result is important. To reiterate something that everybody knows, 22 gold medals, 28 silver and 32 bronze medals. A very significant result that as a president of the National Paralympic Committee take pride in is the fact that 19 regions of Ukraine participated in the national team of Ukraine, which is to say that virtually all the regions are represented in our national team, all the Ukrainian regions. If we look and delve into the number of countries participating in the previous games, the major sign beyond Ukraine was the fact that the competition is growing. It is growing significantly. New members of the Paralympic movement and those who have been traditionally there, this is an important point. In addition, now that our athletes are sitting here around me, they made this point, not only they, but other people also underlined a terrible situation when the International Paralympic Committee they showed a frightening loyalty to the representatives of the Russian sports who are participating in other teams. Now, my point is this is a frightening loyalty, and I couldn't restrain myself on the eve of the beginning. I said that to the president of the National Paralympic Committee. The negotiation was very tough, but I told him, you are provoking the fact that the Paralympic International Committee is complicit to the crimes and dreadful deeds that Russia is doing in my country. The fact that the Paralympic Committee is participating in this divisive issue, there are a lot of incidents to that effect. In spite of all of this, our leadership in the world sports, next to China, the USA, and the United Kingdom, we've made our point. You see, sometimes we are called the winners of the Olympics. Yes, we are the 5th in overall rankings. As far as gold medals are concerned, we are the 7th. But the echo, the impression that our team has made on the world press, you would think that Ukrainian team was the winner of the 17th Paralympic Games. A couple of details, with your permission, Alina, but, you know, I will tell something that you're not going to ask me about. Perhaps you may. But we have 24 athletes who were ranked fourth. We have 22 gold medals and then the silver and bronze medals. But the point is that at Tokyo, we were ranked the fifth. We had 22 gold medals. Now we have, 24 in Tokyo. We had 2 gold medals more. This is to say about the dynamics of our growth in terms of the world sports. The guys sitting next to me are Paralympic athletes. When you look into their results, and you know that the result is point not second. You see, not 1 second, but not 1 second lower than those who occupied the third or fourth place. You see, this is a tiny margin. Apart from the people sitting here, they come from Mariupol, from Dnipro, and other Ukrainian cities. Mykolaiv, places where you can't possibly get prepared. I will mention one of the medalists of our team. He is working with his kid in the city of Dnipro, and the kid wanted to go home. And the father asked his daughter, please, let's have a walk, a stroll. But the kid was crying, I want to go home. And he is in wheelchair. He left that place where they were having a stroll, and in about couple of minutes' time, after they had left that place a few hundred meters away, the bomb landed there, followed by other attack. You see, this is the instance where a kid somehow was enlightened that they had to leave that place. It was dangerous. This is one of the examples I wanted to talk about. Yaroslav Denysenko and Mr. Chufarov, who is sitting next to me. Dear colleagues, to survive Mariupol, to be a Mariupol survivor, those terrifying days and hours, minutes and seconds in Mariupol that they experienced, and after that, in 2 years' time, a little bit more than 2 years, to get prepared for an Olympic Games and to be a medalist. And Yaroslav and Danylo, one of our leaders at our national team, this is unbelievable. A couple of words about our member team, Mr. Fedina, Alexei Fedima, a swimmer. He is well known. A person, he's got a child. That child is sick and is being treated at the Kiev main children's hospital, a hospital that was attacked by the Russian missiles. 24 hours before that day, our athlete took the child away from that hospital. What can I tell you about the state, the spiritual state of our team members? You will know. It tells you volumes about the conditions of the environment where we were preparing. In Paris, I'm turning to my team and I tell them, perhaps before the final heats in judo, in swimming, a couple of days before that, before you participate fighting for the gold, bronze, or silver. Let's switch off the media, and they didn't say anything. Not the media, but the siren, the air raid alerts. They did not switch off. The Poltava, Kyiv, Dnipro, other Ukrainian cities are constantly bombarded, and were being bombarded. Can our athlete, as anyone else here in Ukraine, can we sleep in Paris on the eve of the finals? Do they rest? Are they getting prepared for the final heats? Of course not. When we mention the results of ours, when we talk about the 82 medals or 28 fourth places, now stop to think about that. 28 medals plus to our overall results. Let's take away those not 1 second that deprived us of our medals. And then you realize why the Paralympic world community believes that the Ukrainian team is the winner of the 17th Paralympic Games. Dear colleagues, statistically speaking, at the Paralympic Games, we saw 7 events when 2 Ukrainian flags were hoisted simultaneously. Those point hundreds of seconds was something that we failed to achieve, to have 3 Ukrainian flags being hoisted, but the Ukrainian flags were raised on many occasions. Statistically, let me tell you this. The Poltava region representatives gained 20 medals out of 82. It's an exciting situation that the second place in terms of medals was occupied by the representatives of the Donetsk region. Think about it. Why is it that the Donetsk region is second amongst our medalists? I was talking to Danylo Chufarov and said, I am a resident of this particular region, and I'm proud of our team members. But I come from Mariupol. I am an athlete representing the Donetsk region. This is a medal. Regionally, it belongs to Donetsk region. He said that in Paris, and I am telling to all of you that Donetsk region representatives gained 19 medals. And of course, Dnipropetrovsk region, the representatives of which gained 18. So we are talking about 20, 19, and 18 medals. The 3 leaders leading the pack of our medalists. And we have dozens of multi-medalist athletes. That is to say, they gained more than 1 medal. 22 gold medalists, I mentioned them. Overall, 139 athletes. How many athletes did gain the medals? 65 out of 139. Stop to think about that. We didn't have tourists. I don't want to insult other Olympic participants. I know, and you will know, this well-known motto, what matters is not the success, what matters is participation. Doesn't work with us. For us, what it matters is the victory for Ukraine. This is what we are engaged in. An important issue also is something that you know, but I can't but mention this. we had two kinds of sports where we debuted. We participated in 15. Now we have added two sports events. I mentioned the Olympic principles. You see, they tell us what matters is participation in the new sport events. No, not for us. Our debutants were crowned with medals. The boccia, a new kinds of sport that Ukrainian athletes were developing for 2 decades, for this kinds of sport to be licensed for the Paris Olympics. And Kalinka Artyom, a person with very heavy injuries, he gained a medal. You see, if you tell me that I believe that the Ukrainian athlete fighting in boccia sports, with his impairment in all limbs, that he will be a medalist in boccia, something that I didn't believe myself. But something else is different. Handbike. A type of biking where an athlete on a specially designed bicycle with his hands is pushing the pedals and gathers quite a momentum which is equal to the fully bodied athletes. A well-known star in biathlon, he turned to me and said, "Will you allow me to have a go?" Now, I love biathlon and skiing, but I want to have a go at hand biking. It was 3 years prior to the beginning of the Olympiad. And we helped him to get engaged. And to be honest with you, I was dissuading him from doing this. It would be the best possible result if you get the 10th highest result. But that will be an achievement in itself. But I told him, don't abandon biathlon and skiing, because there, of course, you will be an achiever. Now, our guy participated in hand biking, and he gained a medal on his way to the finals, and he got to the finals. Friends, imagine a guy, amputee. He had 2 legs amputated, very strong body, strong hands. The body that brought him high results in biathlon and skiing. And he got on his hand bike, and he is an achiever. He comes from the Lviv region. This is unbelievable, isn't it? And this is a story that I can tell about so many members. And I said the president yesterday, I told him that we have done it. Statistically speaking, I was mentioning the 17th kinds of sports that Ukraine participated in. But let me draw your attention to the following. There were not a single kind of sports where we did not participate. Out of 17 where we participated, we gained 11 medals. These are victories. In a nutshell, statistically speaking, a dominant feature, winning kind of sports amongst all others, is paraswimming. Our paraswimmers got 40 medals out of 82. Now, swimming is something where Ukraine is a leader. Now, to be fully candid with you, we were supposed to gain at least 15 medals more, all of them, golden, bronze, or silver. As a former paraswimmer, I can tell you that I know how important this is for all the disabled people paraswimming. I wouldn't call this kind of sport as an ultimate result of ours. Barring the war, you see, and I don't want just to sell speech here, but my point is that without the war, as a person who knows something about Paralympics, we would have achieved higher. A second rank in terms of the medals belongs to parathletics. 19 medals, 8 gold medals that were gained by our members of the Ukrainian Paralympic team. Other sports were also successful. Parabiking, where we showed very good results. Canoe and judo. There is one point to make here, another kind of sport. We participated in that kind of sport on a number of occasions, and we were somewhere in the middle of the pack. And as their coach said, our national team of goalball is a game for the blind persons. It's a sports for blind persons. They have a specially designed ball, and their eyes are, of course, closed. They have glasses that prevent them from seeing. And the point is that they have some remnants of being able to see, to make sure that they're playing on the level playing field. They have these glasses that are not transparent, and we got to the finals. I was there at that game. It was a heartbreaking experience. We lost to Japan 4-3 in the overtime. The coach was crying while he was at the interview, and he said, we were waiting for this for 22 years, but the Japanese team at the preliminary games, that is to say, we beat them. We beat the team of Japan at the preliminary stage, and we had to beat them at the finals. The war, air raids, bombardments, the missiles hitting Ukraine have made what should not have happened our loss. 4-3, but we are victorious. A victorious result, something that I'm sure of. Another interesting point is this. A lot of Ukrainian athletes from our national team come from the children's competition for Paralympic Games for children with disabilities. It's called Believe in Yourself. And virtually all the teams, those blind kids who reached the level of the Ukrainian National Paralympic, it's all due to the fact that they have been brought up by the effective, successful system for the impaired persons. And this competition for children, paddle your own canoe, believe in yourself, this is very important. This is an important result of the Paralympic Games. Now, before I start answering to your brief question with my brief answer, I would like to say that we were at the focus of the world media with no exaggeration. I was interviewed by the BBC, CNN, France Press. I can't enumerate all of the outlets that I talked to. Apart from that, can you imagine the office of the Minister of Foreign Affairs of Germany? They telephoned me and asked me if they could get a permission to visit the Ukrainian headquarters. We set the date. Our minister shows up for a half of a day at Paris, and she wants to talk to our athletes at our headquarters. Well, you're welcome, of course. And I invited 2 warriors for that exchange. And our team includes 2 Ukrainian warriors. They are from the line of engagement, from the fire lines. One of them participated before this Olympiad in our movement. He was tested by the medical committee. He had 2 wounds in his hands, in his arms. And the doctors asked him, why is it that your walk is kind of strange? He said that the shoes that I'm wearing are too tight. I will get better. In such a way, this athlete of ours joined the Ukrainian military. And the other warrior, he was a member of the Olympic movement. When his leg was amputated, he doesn't have a thigh. He joined the Ukrainian Paralympic team of volleyball. He was licensed. He broke through into the Paralympic movement. They ask me sometimes, why is the Ukrainian warriors, the Ukrainian military are not members of your team? I can tell you that this is a sport of high achievement to be a high professional Paralympic member. It doesn't take a year or 2 or 3 years. 4 years will not be enough. Ask these guys here at the podium how much time they have invested into this training. It's hard work. So far, we have had 2 military. But when the German foreign minister visited us, a leader in the Ukrainian policy of Europe, and I invited these 2 guys for them to have a chat. And what they were talking about was not about sport. It was about Ukraine, because our guys told her, Madam Minister, Ms. Berbuk, we need ammo. We need long-range missiles. We need a right to reach the arms depot in the territory of Russia, deep inside that territory, to make sure that the Ukrainian civilians are not killed. And at that point, the Ukrainian president was participating in Ramstein conference. And something I mentioned to the president yesterday. You were there at Ramstein, and you were getting and rooting for the permission for our military to be victorious, and the Ukrainian Paralympic team was fighting for Ukraine, communicating with the policymakers around the world, the parliamentarians, mayor of Paris, and they were driving the point home to the fact that what we need is not to watch what's going on in Ukraine, but fight for peace. Fighting for peace is what we did. Again, I would like to thank the Ukrainian media, the Ukrainian press, and the Ukrainian fans. Now, how do I call you? Ukrainian citizens, friends, colleagues. It's difficult to turn to you as fans. No, you are members of our team. Because what you communicated to us, what you wrote us through the media, through the social networks, this is something that made us think that Ukraine with us, and we are with Ukraine. President is with us. We are with the president in fighting for Ukrainian cause. You see, Alina, I would like to say a few words, not about sports, but what is associated with the success of our Paralympic team. Point number one. I failed to mention this to the president. By the way, the prime minister was there at the ceremony, and I am thankful to the prime minister, Mr. Shmigali, and the minister for sports for all he did. But I wanted to say, but didn't. I will say it now, because I am relying on a large audience listening to us, who are with us, who are winners with us. We have visually impaired guys here, physically disabled, people in the wheelchair. I am in the wheelchair. And on their behalf and on my behalf, my point is that we are part of the community that is called the Ukrainian citizens with disabilities. Now, the issue of disability, because of the war, has been globalized in Ukraine. Globally, it has overwhelmed Ukraine. While talking, and I will be frank here, due to the policies, ineffective policies of the Ministry of Social Politics, and sometimes we call them anti-social services, this infirm policy of ours. I am turning to the Ukrainian community, to the Ukrainians. Let us talk about this. Let us convert the victory of the Ukrainian Paralympic team into awareness of their fully able capabilities in this country, without hands, without legs, with the cerebral palsy, blind people, visually impaired, amputees on their wheelchairs. They are able, for this country, they are raising the Ukrainian banner, Ukrainian national flag, in spite of their disability. Let us think about how fully able they are, how it binds us all to effectively use all the money that is paid for the implementation of the government policy while preserving their rights in terms of the social policy, to make sure that this is due to the fact that the Ukrainian Paralympic team, the Ukrainian people with disabilities in the world sports have united around the world, have rallied the world around Ukraine. Let us convert, translate this into the effective government policy regarding the people with disability. This is the first time I mentioned this on air, but I believe this is important. While addressing the Ukrainian Parliament, where my address was planned, they have changed their minds. They didn't give me the floor, although I was a member of the Ukrainian Parliament for 16 years. Now, what you see here at the podium are only a couple of representatives, but all the team know what the physical and sports rehabilitation is. Now, for more than a year and a half, the Ukrainian Parliament has been voting a bill 5344D that puts on the table the death of the sports rehabilitation. And I am thankful for the fact that the parliamentarians did not allow this to happen. It was planned for the agenda in August. During the Paralympic Games, that issue was on the agenda to do away with the rehabilitation sports. And that is taking place at the time when Paralympics is in full swing. And I'm told that this bill will be passed into law this year. My point is that there are disabled persons, people who know what the sports rehabilitation is. You see, the way I look, I sit here in the wheelchair and I'm holding the table because I can't sit, but I am a fully able person. I am hero of Ukraine. I am a Ukrainian parliamentarian, and I am working for the sake of the disabled people. I am fighting for their rights. And here, together with our Paralympic members, we have achieved a victory for Ukraine. I thank you very much for your attention. I wish that everything I've told had been heard by the Ukrainian people. Our words of thanks. We want to be appreciated for what we've done at Paris, and we now know what we have to do as a follow-up to this major victory. I did not interrupt. It was a thrilling speech of yours. Every message of yours is worth talking about. I'm sorry for my verbosity. No, it matters a lot. I have to do something with the adaptive sports, with the sports for the war veterans. I know how important it is to implement such policies into life. A lot of Ukrainian warriors need to go through the sports rehabilitation, which is known for good results in terms of health and social matters. I would like to give the floor to our team members to share their emotions with us from the point of view how they interacted with other teams, what you saw there, something that we don't have here in Ukraine in terms of preparation, perhaps in other components. What are your general impressions about the medals that you won, about your participation? Who would like to take the floor now? I might commence. Due to the rehabilitation sports, it's a cool thing in all the regions of Ukraine where kids, the juniors, enjoy this possibility to join in. I myself joined this movement, Believe in Yourself. I went to the Crimea. My family could not afford this, and there were competitions called Believe in Yourself. This is where my Paralympic way started. Were it not for this fact, I don't know where I would have been now. That is to say, the system is working. It must be developed now, especially in the environment of the full-scale war. Our training was as effective as it can be during the war. But I would say it was high-class preparation. I come from the Poltava region. After the full-scale invasion, we saw the commissioning of a new sports center, and the 8 months that we saw there, it was a fantastic experience. I have never had such an experience before. We had everything at our disposal we could think of. Now, of course, there were power outages, there were bombardments, there were air raid alerts. Now, everyone knows about that. But there are positive things. And the positive thing is that the preparation that we have come through can't possibly compare with what I heard from my colleagues from Britain or from France. Of course, their families are all right, their compatriots are living in a peaceful country. They're not being terrorized by the enemy. Now, there is no point in comparison in terms of our preparation and training. It doesn't make sense. But we have what is available. I believe that this has been a phenomenal result of ours. Every medal, every result was a unique one for this particular sport and time and place. When I was listening to the interviews of my teammates after every race, after every heat, they all were talking about their feeling of appreciation for our defenders, because we must appreciate what we have now. There are positive things. This is why we went for the Paralympics. It's a miracle to put together a national team, let alone gain medals. We are thankful to the system of this rehabilitation sports and sports for the impaired persons. It's been an honor, as it is an honor to our defenders. Now, I would like to say that I agree with what Yaroslav has said. I also spring from this competition for children with disabilities, Believe in Yourself. Back in 2004, I participated and won that competition. This is where my career sprang from. And following up the message about the high level of our training, I've been in the national team for a number of years. It's not a matter of being able to swim and then you get a medal for para-swimming. It's a joint effort. Athletes, coaches, medical personnel, the whole system that promotes such team results. When we found ourselves in Paris, then our competitors, they were rooting for us as a national team. Personally, my competitors were asking me, hello, tell me, are your relatives, are your loved ones all right? Are they healthy? Are they doing okay? And they said, okay, that was one thing we wanted to know. We are now happy. As far as the sports is concerned, that's different. What matters here is that your relatives and your loved ones are safe, that your country is safe. The world community is taking care of Ukraine. We felt that support. It was an overwhelming feeling that we received, the feeling of support from around the world. Everyone was supporting us, and they told us, now we can only share words with you, but once we come home, we will make sure that our voice is heard, that the whole world must help Ukraine, must assist Ukraine in stopping this war. This is the best result that Danylo has mentioned. As a result of our performance, what Danylo is saying is the prolongation, the follow-up of our result, not in terms of sports, but in terms of supporting and backing Ukraine. I believe that was a powerful message for Ukraine internally, because we were following, we were rating posts in the social networks. Not only did we enjoy the performance, but we were proud for our athletes, for our country. I heard a lot of messages from my Western colleagues how exciting they were that a country in war is participating and is represented at the Paralympics. Well, of course, they are aware of the impact of war on our athletes, on our members of the Paralympic teams. And they said that they were motivated by the example of the Ukrainian athletes. If I may, yesterday I received a message from the headquarters from NATO in Brussels. Our Paralympics have been invited to the NATO headquarters to settle a couple of issues regarding Ukraine. The guys don't know about that. I want them to know. This is phenomenal. NATO headquarters have provided a feedback to our performance. This is what we call soft power, or a diplomacy of other means. It seems to be working because you are courageous people, and your courage promotes the level of backing for Ukraine. I became an athlete, shall I say, when I was full age. Don't know, but sports that has overwhelmed me. It's my life now. I have been absorbed by it. I have a family. There are people waiting for me, loving me, but sports is something that is my own. I've been waiting for my whole life for this time, and every medal, every training give me an impetus, a fresh lease of life. Recent couple of years, these years have been very emotional and straining and difficult because our sports grounds are based in the city of Dnipro. And this year, what we had can hardly be called a training. It's a survival game because every day you are woken up by the air raid alerts. You're constantly under the threat of blasts, and you don't really know where to go, what to do, how to respond, what's going on around you. On many occasions did I see missiles flying over our grounds. I saw them with my own eyes. When you see a missile, you don't know where it's headed. Overall, you know what's going to happen next second. And the same goes for the beginning of the war, when you feel not only for yourself, but for your parents. My parents live in the Mykolaiv city. You read the news, you leave the practice, and the first thing you do is you read what's happening in your parents' city. You contact them by phone to know that they are safe and doing all right. I am thankful to the Ukraine Media Center for them to promote the message that the Ukrainian sports is there, it will be there. Since the war broke out, we thought that nothing would come out of our projects, in spite of all the trainings and all the practice that we have had. You see, we don't see our parents for 9 months a month because we are constantly in the training sessions. But due to the efforts by our president and his team, we are here, we exist, we keep on practicing. And our coach, Vyacheslav Zagreba, he hasn't abandoned us. He's put us together, wouldn't leave us behind. He encouraged us. I will find the way for you to keep on training, to keep on practicing. We will survive, I'm telling you guys. I promise I will make sure that we continue practicing. And we have two teams, the rowing and canoe. You see, we are safe and sound. We are doing our job, practicing hard, and we will be fighting for new medals, something we have shown to the world that this country will defy all the odds. Thank you, ma'am. I believe that a lot of people stand ready to help and assist with their votes in providing every possible kind of assistance for these kinds of sports to develop. Yesterday at the presidential meeting, what I was impressed by was that all the athletes said thank you to the president for the fact that he did support the Paralympic Ukrainian sports, and they asked him to keep this movement in his scope, to zero in on the Paralympic Games. We know that this sport really provides for people with disabilities and for this country in general. I think I will echo what has been said. I also come from this sports system. I came through the physical rehabilitation, then the Believe in Yourself children's competitions, and I am where I am. I thank everybody who has built up this system, conditions, and environment for us to fight for Ukraine. Now, I would like to stress a point to the effect that, in my view, we have one mission. I used to believe that we fight for the disabled persons, for the accessibility issues. This is what I believe to be a mission of ours. Now I realize something else. It's not a fight for the disabled persons. We fight for this country. We want this country to be heard, to be seen, and that the whole world knows that we exist. This has been a very important year because of our experience. We were heading practice with our veterans called Titans. And we saw veterans with the empty eyes. And at some point in time, we saw there was some kind of sparkle in this veteran's eyes. And I thought to myself, we are on the right way. This is what we should do. And after the work that I have been doing for 20 years now, if I inspire a single person who seems to have lost hope, I believe that I have been living for a good cause. And this system that has brought us up, it's working. It's walking the walk, because we've been brought up in the system. As a result, we see that the whole system is working. You have to believe it, just the way we believe in Ukraine. I appreciate the work you are doing. And I also know that the military, because I work with them a lot, those veterans who need rehabilitation, I see eye to eye with you, that the sparkle in their eyes, there's something, the hope, the ray of hope that we see in their eyes, not only for the veterans, it touches and rubs off on their families and their kids and their relatives. Our mission is not only to get them socialized. Our mission is to adapt the whole country for the new conditions that we have been living in and we are likely to be living in for many years to come. I believe your example will be an inspiring experience for the whole country. Thank you for what you've been doing. I would also like to mention our Paralympic Center in the Carpathian Mountains. NATO experts, NATO officers who visited our Paralympic grounds in Paris, they saw how medical personnel are working with the war veterans who were heavily wounded. And it was an eye-opener. And they called it, this is back to life experience and procedure. And when they saw a wheelchaired guy, and he said, my life is done. It's over. I am a disabled person now. And now next to him, he sees a wheelchair person, a beautiful, strong, well-educated member of the Ukrainian Paralympic Games. He's got medals under his belt. He's got family. The society he lives in is without barriers because he is a victorious person in sports and in life. What we have done is something that Ira has mentioned. She's got that knowledge now. Everyone on the podium, but not only them, but all of us have this back-to-life experience for the guys who have been in the harm's way. Now, I would like to give the floor to a guy who back in Japan made a gesture when a Russian subject stood at the podium with him and he handed him away. And he mentioned the Russian warship. The Russian warship has been mentioned by many times by our guys. Can you take up from here? Now, my point is that we've become more and more united, as if we were living through the first days of the war, because it was a challenge, not only because sports for disabled persons has given us a possibility to keep on living. I will be honest with you, I didn't believe it was possible. I looked around me, people that rallied around us. I saw kids, disabled children, coming to us from Mykolaiv and other cities, and they told me, hey, how can I get on your team? We want to practice, but our sports facilities have been ruined. There is no way we can practice. And I looked at them, and in my heart, I was crying. I was crying because these little kids were asking such grown-up questions, such mature questions. It was a privilege to talk to them live, and I invited them to our place to talk eye to eye with our journalists around. And I promise them they will get united. There are many of us. It's so difficult to see people, how strong we are. It is difficult to believe, but it is an honor to realize. When our president mentioned that he is fighting against this law that our parliamentarians are likely to pass into law, I would like to see them personally, every one of them, and talk to them personally. They seem not to understand that after our heroes come back from the front, what will they do? Where will they go? We have so many sports facilities that have been ruined. These people cannot get rehabilitation full-time or full-scale. It was never easy. But, you see, the missile doesn't tell you and doesn't ask you a permission where to go. This is a difficult thing to live through. My coach and myself, we were discussing this, how to make sure that we are heard and that we are listened to. And when I saw a sportsman from the aggressor country, and some people claimed that I embraced him, and I was giving an interview after the race, and their journalists asked them, why is it that your colleague didn't shake your hand, didn't embrace you? And they said, we don't know. Now the question is, it begs a question, why do you say that? What's the reason? That's the only question I had then, and I'm still waiting for the answer. Why either they didn't shake their hand. Sports is something that unites us. It makes us unbreakable, indomitable, because this country is living through the difficult times. I am thankful to the President and his team for the fact that they have not left us behind. I would like to thank our President of the Paralympic Committee, who have done so much for us to go to the Games. Perhaps the participation was not sure. Who must be supported in the first place is the Ukrainian army. But we said that we will participate in the movement at different levels because we are a united Ukrainian team. These have been beautiful, most poignant words to wrap up this event. Once again, I congratulate everyone of you. Fourth place, second place, first place for a Team Ukraine is very close. What you have been doing is an extraordinary thing for this country. All Ukrainians appreciate what you have done. All Ukrainians need good news. We need good results. And we need to see that people who are living through such challenging times can deliver. Every Ukrainian must be aware and making sure that this government develops the adaptive sports, rehabilitation sports. It's not only a matter of living up to the European standards. This is part of the life. I wish success at the next Paralympic Games. I wish you the performance that you would be happy with. Take care of yourselves, of your families, of your state of mind, and to continue being the role model for the Ukrainian kids, for the Ukrainian citizens. I thank you very much. Again, we've been talking at this briefing about the results of the Paris Paralympics. We have been joined by Valeriy Sushkevych, the president of the National Paralympic Committee of this country. We have touched upon a lot of questions. Let us deliver on them. Thank you very much.